You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast brought to you by ascully.com. And here are your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. Hello, Sid Talk.
Yellow.
Hello, world. I've got the song Chime by Orbital stuck in my mind. It's like one of those...
Well, then sing it. If you're going to say it, you got to sing it. Are those the words? Or is this one of those crazy musical songs?
It doesn't actually have any words. It's a electronical music. Electronical. Is that a thing?
Well, it's EDM. Electronic dance music?
It's from a time before there was even an EDM.
It was before the time of real music. No, I like EDM, so I'm not making fun of it. I dig it.
It's from the time before EDM even existed. Yes.
The grandparent of
yeah,
EDM.
Pretty much. So yeah, if you look that track up, it's a cool track. I think it's from 1990. So, Sita, what's your before the after the show discussion?
You were fixing these microphones, and I was downloading the pictures, telling you about these camera lenses, which no one is going to care about, so...
Maybe they will. Maybe they're budding photographers.
Well, I have purchased 2 lenses to go with my... What do you call it? Starter Nikon? I don't know what they call it.
DSLR.
No, I mean what level. It's a D3400. And with it came an 18 to 55 zoom lens. They call it the kit lens. I've then since purchased a 50 millimeter Yongyo and then a big zoom lens, like a 70 to 300 Nikon. I'm doing testing because I know nothing of photography, but I need to know which lens looks good, what I can focus in the sunshine, blah, blah, blah. And I'm finding that my big, long, refurbished, I got it for $100, the Nikon 70 to 300. And for anyone who's not into photography, this all sounds like mumbo jumbo, and it did to me too about 4 months ago. The 70 to 300 Nikon on Amazon, refurbished without VR. That's a
virtual reality. Not
virtual reality. It's some kind of stabilization. I don't know what
vibration reduction.
That is. How do you know that? How do you know that?
I heard it mentioned.
Yeah, it doesn't have that. So, because I'm new to this and I know fuck all about the photography part, I just went ahead and bought it. I now know why you have that, because it's very unstable. However, I'm learning, and it's very sharp, and I'm looking at pictures of it as we speak. I mean, from it as we speak.
That is actually vibration reduction. Is nice. When you actually take a photograph and your camera rumbles slightly, it can make the lens move ever so slightly, making that you don't get a clear picture, right?
Yeah, and zoom lenses are like, it's just floppy as shit. I mean, it wobbles all over the place, and so, yeah, I need that. Obviously, I don't know all the technical terms, but it's still good. It's really sharp. I'm looking at my pictures I just took about 5 minutes ago, and I'm happy.
Nice. All right, so that's before or after the show. We're not a camera show.
No.
And we are a movie review show, and it is Saturday, May the 26th. This is after the show 532. We look at a movie every week on Blu-ray or 4K or DVD, and this week's movie is Red Sparrow. It's a 2017 movie, releases on Blu-ray May the 22nd, so you can pick this up now. It's rated R, and it's from our friends at Fox, who sent us a copy for review. So, Sid Talk, give us the short synopsis of Red Sparrow.
Espionage, intrigue, spies, manipulation, seduction, Russia versus America, snore. But still, I liked it.
These are just descriptive words.
Hey, I warned you. If you want a synopsis that you can live with, don't ask me anymore. So from now on, you're going to get whatever creative thing pops into my head.
All right.
I don't think a person should listen to this podcast, listen to our synopsis, and then go, oh, okay, I think I'll go watch it. Either they've watched it and they want to know what we think, or they listen to all of what we say and then decide if they want to go watch it, which also is not a good plan, but whatever.
So Red Sparrow is the new collaboration, I guess, between Francis Lawrence and Jennifer Lawrence, no relation. Francis Lawrence was the director of the Hunger Games movies, and Jennifer Lawrence was obviously the star of them, and she's now back with him making a totally different thing, which is Red Sparrow. Yeah, it's very
When you
different.
say back with them, what are you saying? Are they a relationship?
No, I mean, they're teamed up like
Okay.
you know, like Stanley Kubrick and whoever
I don't know.
You know, whoever his actor was. Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Okay, I got it.
Professional relationship.
Got it.
So, it is a spy movie. I wasn't quite clear. Oh, let's start. There'll be some spoilers during this review. So, go and see this movie, come back, and then listen to what we have to say, or don't go and see
it
this
spoiled.
movie. I'll get it spoiled.
If that's your thing.
Yeah. So, let me just ask you a question. What time, what date was this set?
So I don't know. It feels like 2010, 2015.
It was never really established, though, right?
No. It could have been now. I mean,
Why? Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't tell when it was, but that didn't really...
But the reason you ask is because floppy disks become an element, and then we're like, what? But then I thought about it, and if you do want to if you have information on a floppy disk, there's not a lot of people, unless you're in the spy world, who can access that information.
Also,
you and I don't have floppy disks anymore, drives anymore.
I would say, if you want the most unreliable source to put data on, use a floppy disk.
Or maybe the floppy disk is a housing for something else. They didn't go that deep.
Possibly. They didn't have the scene where...
But there were smartphones and stuff, so we're not talking about like the 80s or anything here.
They didn't have the scene where the spy was putting the floppy disk in the drive and then like ejecting it and putting it back in, and ejecting it and putting it back in, and
Correct.
It wouldn't read it. So, yeah, that was a bit odd. I was like, hold on a second. When it's towards the end of the movie where they do the floppy disk thing, I was like, oh, hold on, is this actually in the 80s? And then I was like, no. Everybody's got technology and stuff. So, yeah. So, what did you think of Red Sparrow?
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I know it's not like, we'll get to our recommendations in a bit, but it's not Atomic Blonde, which we both recommend, but it's like I don't want to say origin story because I don't know what the idea is here with this, if this is a franchise or whatever. However, I like the idea of kind of getting a background of why a person would get caught up in the spy world, at least this one person, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it played out well, nicely paced, good music, good action that wasn't over the top. It wasn't like, just too much for the sake of it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed the whole thing.
It was...
How about you?
I liked it. I have to say...
Uh-oh, here comes a butt.
It's really well photographed. Like, it's actually quite kind of classy looking all the time.
Yeah, very.
It's very different. It's almost... It's not a handheld kind of movie or anything like that. It's real steady shots, and you know what, as well...
It's steady, but it's not stagnant.
Right, and there's almost no action in this movie. Like, action, as you would call. Like, Atomic Blonde is full of action, right? Mm-hmm. Like, always action. But in this movie, it's not action. It's more mind games and seduction and some training sequences, but you don't actually see action.
Which is actually probably what? If in the real world this stuff does exist, it's going to be mostly that. Otherwise, you'd hear a lot more about the big fights and the stabbings and the weird people dead in tubs and things.
So I respected it for that, because it didn't try and do what everybody else does and do a Jason Bourne. Like, at some point, I kept thinking...
But Jason Bourne does what it does well.
Right.
That's the key here.
But Jason Bourne's clearly
Blonde.
an action movie, right? It's like, it builds up to action set pieces. This movie doesn't. It's I was going to say more of a thinker kind of movie, but it's not that either. I mean, it's not like super complex plot or anything.
No.
It's in between there somewhere, but it's good. Like, it's good quality. One of the things, I don't want to go into negatives too much because I really liked it.
However,
there are some negatives. Hokey Russian accents is my negatives.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
that was my only distraction.
No Russian actors is my negatives.
Oh, none of them are.
Never a line of Russian dialogue or a subtitle. That's another one. Those things bug me a bit, like in Hollywood movies. But you almost have to that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get that, are you? It's like, we've seen, like, for instance, Valkyrie, which was a big Hollywood movie, but there was a lot of subtitling in it, right? You know.
If I remember correctly, they started all in German and then it somehow phased into English.
It did, but at least they had a go, is what I'm getting at. In this movie, nobody has a go and everybody's doing that Hollywood Russian accent, which kind of irritated me for a while at the beginning. But then I was like, okay, just get over it.
We have to get over it because why would all these Russian people be talking English to each other, speaking English?
That too, yeah.
Yeah,
you know, it's
they would all be speaking. Every time she answers the phone, she wouldn't be answering hello.
No.
And when someone's asked her a question, she wouldn't say yes.
No.
She would say da, right? Da is yes in Russian.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
You are
I know
well versed in Russian.
I know
could
pierogi,
be a Red Sparrow.
Food, and that.
Yeah, so those are my negatives. But aside from that, I enjoyed everything about it. Like,
yeah.
I said to you while we were watching it, I really appreciate its balls, this movie. It's really graphic. When it is graphic, it's graphic. Like the scene at the beginning where she goes and beats some people up. Mm-hmm. Graphic is really graphic. There's a torture scene that is like, oh, it really goes for it. There's a rape scene, I would say. I would classify that as a rape. And it doesn't pull any punches. Like, it goes for it. And there's the scene where
that just gives you what that character needs to do.
Right. It's not gratuitous.
I mean, some would say it is, because you could have it implied that that's what happened. But you don't feel the same necessity for her to then, do what she needs to do. Like, you feel it, like, yeah, and I'm not saying you have to show it, because you can always, we can infer from things. However, it just makes you go, oh God, she needs to kill that guy.
Yeah, it's like
knock the crap out of that guy. Do whatever you got to do.
It's like a Kill Bill scenario. If you don't see how badly the bride was treated, you're not really on her side as well. As soon as you see, oh my God, they're leaving it beat to death, and then you're like, okay, I'm on the bride's side. She got to get revenge. Same here, really. But, this movie uses a lot of sexuality throughout it. And it, the scene where they're training these girls to be, I said to you, oh, this is like whore school. And turns out she called it horse school at some point.
Whore, as in WHORE.
Yeah, not horse school.
That sounds a little horsey, yeah, when you say it.
But there's a scene where the instructor just tells her to take her clothes off in front of everybody, and they don't shy away from it. I don't know if that was body doubling or what, but she actually gets nude, doesn't she, and stuff,
It appears so.
So, it's pretty hardcore at times, and I was, for a Hollywood-y type movie like this, I don't. It felt almost David Fincher. Like, he's the kind of guy, David Fincher movies, where they go pretty extreme. Like we saw Girl with the Dragon Tattoo gets pretty extreme, right? Even Seven or, definitely Seven. They get pretty extreme, those movies. And this reminded me of those where...
But Seven, don't see, you might be tricked.
A lot of it's what they say, right?
Yes, you are told...
Yeah.
What has happened, and you see the end result, you don't see it happening, and you still go, oh my God, like, oh God.
But I just wasn't expecting the level of detail, I guess I would put it, in this movie when it comes to sexual scenes and violent scenes and just the training of these girls, because we haven't really even explained what this movie is.
They're not girls, by the way, they are women.
Women, yeah. It's one of those, like, it's also stereotypical, I think. Like in movies, Russians do this, they're so tough, they do this sort of thing with their operatives. We don't know that, do we?
We don't know that, and like I said, if this is a thing and there is real spy shit in the world, then every country who has any sort of spies...
Well, I actually liked how they took half an hour of the movie at the beginning to get to the point where she becomes an operative.
Definitely.
Because, this kind of film would normally start at that point, 30 minutes into this movie, where here she is, she's mysterious, she's in this training school, and then you probably wouldn't get much explained.
Probably get a flashback.
Right, but her backstory is really explained at the beginning. like for 30 minutes. And then you're like, oh, I get exactly where she is and why she's forced into this situation. So then she goes, it's a Russian operative training school, and they're very hardcore, and they teach these women to seduce men or other women because that's the easiest way to get into somebody. So they
information, yeah.
Yeah, so they teach them like every human has got like a hole, and you have to fill that hole. So if they need a companion,
let's not put it that way. Everyone, she says, filling holes is part of it, but she says everyone is a puzzle with the missing piece. You need to be the missing piece.
I'm being more literal, I guess.
Yeah, that's part of it, but yeah.
But yeah, so they teach them this, and you see them they have to do practical demonstrations of some of this stuff in front of the other operatives. It's pretty extreme. You see this training school happening, and then you see her go out into the field and use her skills. And, I think she has a really distinct, she has a real good arc, from the ballet dancer at the beginning to what she becomes right at the end on the runway.
That would be ballet dancer? You sounded a little bit like you said belly dancer.
Ballet.
Ballet, yeah.
Yep.
I'm just interpreting for the people. These are your subtitles, everyone. She's a ballet dancer. Actually, for what we've all also stereotypically, the Bolshoi ballet. So, you've probably seen in movies, TV shows, even comedy TV shows, that all the ballet dancers, all the opera singers, everyone who's in any sort of Russian sports Olympics, they're all spies.
Yeah.
They've all been trained to do that thing and to be a spy. And at any time, they can infiltrate your society, or they'll pretend to defect, and then, they're just gathering information. So they're kind of playing on that as well, because she's with the Bolshoi. So.
Which is the most
prestigious,
acclaimed, yeah.
So, I'd say in the world, I'm guessing.
Jennifer Lawrence actually does some ballet dancing at the beginning, which I was like, is that real? Or is that I, Tonya level of... When we watched I, Tonya, and, it was face replacement, I was convinced it was face replacement, and then I was like, nah, they get really close up and it doesn't look weird. And then we watched the extras and it wasn't face replacement. They used a combination of a stand-in dancer who they used her legs. They didn't piece them together. They just filmed it
different angles,
so you could... But there was never a point where I was like, oh, look, that Jennifer Lawrence got really small, or she's the wrong size now. It didn't...
No, it looked good.
Yeah, and she does an actual performance.
Now, we're not ballet dancers, so ballet dancers probably spotted it.
We are belly dancers.
Could be. Oh, I could be.
So I really enjoyed that. So yeah, there's a bit of... it reminded me of the scene... one of the Mission Impossible movies that took place in a ballet. Remember that? There was a big, sniper in the thing, and...
Was that Mission Impossible?
Yeah, it was like Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, I believe. But it reminded me of that scene from there. I mean, this it wasn't as heightened as that, but it had that feel. It's really beautifully photographed all the time. We watched The Hunger Games, which was Francis Lawrence's movie, and The Hunger Games was all handheld. Do you remember that first Hunger Games movie?
It was a little much.
It was annoying. It was handheld, and then they kind of switched it up, and in the second movie it wasn't at all. So I'm like, oh, Francis Lawrence is probably going to do that kind of action handheld thing, but it's the opposite, complete opposite of that. It's got an awesome score, which is all classical type music.
He, like J.J. Abrams, learned from their mistakes.
Yeah, surely. Yeah, because it's completely on another level to that. That seemed very, I don't know, annoying. And this is just
distracting. If it's a technique that adds to the story or makes it more dynamic or makes it more fun, interesting, exciting, I get it. If it's just for the indulgence of the filmmaker, also fine. However, if I'm not in your story, I'm not listening to your story, I'm not paying attention to your characters, looking at your surroundings, all the other people who have put effort into making this movie, and your one stupid little hang-up, oh, we've got to do it handheld. Oh, we've got to do the lens flares. That's about you. and you're fucking with your whole story. I don't care what anybody says. It's a distraction. You know, people will talk about it, mention it, notice it. If it stands out, it's a distraction that doesn't need to be there. Unless the movie is all about, you know, if you took Scream and then made, what were the movies after Scream?
Yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer?
No, the piss take movies.
Scary Movie?
Scary Movie, was that it? Okay, so
Yeah.
Scary Movie plays on... Well, Scream does it first. They play on all of the tropes of horror movies, but it's more serious. And then Scary Movie just totally takes the piss. If you made a movie and took all these director and cinematographer, like, kind of like film school 101 or new tricks and gadgets and just threw it all out there, like every single shot was something weird. You could even make fun of Danny Boyle. You could make fun of, you know, with the... all different kinds of stuff. If you did that, that would be fine. But when your movie, like, and in this one, you're right. There's nothing stood out to me about the filmmaking, the design, the look. None of that stood out. And while that sounds like, oh, that's not good. No, that's perfect. Because I am in the world. I believe what I'm seeing. I believe I'm in Russia. I believe I'm in Budapest. I believe I'm watching these people. That's all I need to know. Technique shouldn't jump out at me.
No, and concerning the plot of this movie, I was quite impressed by how many twists and turns there were and how many I didn't see coming.
Remember, we've told you spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil that stuff. But
even saying there's twists and turns is a spoiler of sorts, because then you're sitting there waiting for it,
Right.
and then you're like, oh, was that it? Oh, was that it?
well, I did say spoilers, so
Correct.
yeah. So, but there are several twists and turns I didn't see coming. I don't know if you were the same.
Not really. I mean, I appreciated the way that they were playing it and everybody against each other, but I pretty much from the first scene figured out... From the first scene with the, introduction, well, the first scene of introducing a particular person and the vibe.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah.
So I know I was taken off guard with a few things in it, so that was satisfying. I also like how it wasn't really trying to set up a sequel. It's not really that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it's not, I don't know what the plans for this person, but I like that her story is contained.
Yeah, you could do a sequel, but it's not clearly going at the end, hey, stick around for next year's sequel because here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that. I appreciate that because many movies kind of lean on that at the end of a movie. They go, oh, we might make this into a franchise. Even Atomic Blonde was kind of a bit guilty of that. The end scene was like, oh, look, we're probably going to see her again. So I'm appreciating it. It felt restrained in a lot of ways, which made it feel more classy than it was. If you get what I mean.
Yes.
Because really, it's a pretty simple spy movie with Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Yeah, it's okay to like movies that aren't like mind-bending and life-changing. It's fun sometimes to just go along for the ride.
I like Marvel movies, then,
Yeah.
you know.
I like bad zombie movies, so there you go.
So moving on the cast here, Jennifer Lawrence plays Dominika Egorova. Sorry for my Russian pronunciation. So what did you think of Jennifer Lawrence?
I thought she was good. I mean, the accent was a problem, I think. But
Yeah.
I'm not Russian, so I can't really say it was really bad. I would like anyone who is Russian or, speaks Russian or is around a lot of Russians, if you would like to tell us how good or bad it is.
Felt like it was serviceable, but almost slightly insulting.
Yeah, I would like her to have less words.
Or speak in Russian with a subtitle.
Or establish very quickly that they have trained the Russian accent out of her.
So she can do any nationality.
That she has to sound straight up like an American.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want that in this particular context of the story, because she never goes to America or has to really deal with a lot of Americans. However, if you're going to sell me on her, then make sure that I understand she went through hell having to get rid of that accent. But they didn't do that.
Yeah, now, at first, I'm still, with Jennifer Lawrence, right, I do like her, but I'm still never been 100% convinced she's great. But I've not seen everything she's done, but everything I've seen, I like her, but I don't go, oh my God, she's the greatest actress. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a lot of in between there.
So in this movie, at the beginning, I was like, I think this accent's bugging me, and she's being very, drama-y. I don't even know if that means anything.
Drama-y? Drama-ish?
Yeah, like too dramatic. A little bit over-dramatic, let's say. But then once I started to learn what the character was exactly, I was like, because she has to pretend to be a lot of things, obviously. She's a undercover operative. I think it made a bit more sense. But at the beginning, I was like, oh no, she's like a bit over the top. You know, when she's got a like little crutch, you know, at the beginning?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she seems a bit over the top. You know, there's a few things I didn't buy, like a relationship with a mother, even though it hinges on the whole thing, really. It felt a bit weird, like the scenes between them.
Because it's explained in a way that makes it look like this lady's on the verge of death, and then at some point she's walking around and she's fine. I didn't quite grasp that.
And the emotional scenes where it's supposed to be emotional, oh, she's with her mother, and her mother means everything to her, and her whole life hinges like on making sure her mother's okay.
Yeah.
But the scenes when she's with her, they weren't enough for me, or they felt a bit weird, like she wasn't even a mother. It just felt weird. So
that would have been a twist.
That's the twist, yeah.
And plus, we never get explained. Obviously, her father dying is a big deal, and the uncle was the father's brother, but we don't know how the father died.
No.
But the mother is very suspicious of the uncle, and it's like, fill that in just a little bit for me. Just a little bit.
Some people would call those plot holes, but I call them, those are things that will be explained in a sequel, possibly.
Well, I wouldn't want to go that far because that's really boring.
Yeah, but there was some stuff with her, but I didn't. I also the romance aspect between her and Nate. I didn't 100% buy that either. There was a romance kind of brewing in the middle of the movie.
Well, I mean, it was just sex, but it still felt like, I don't know, because you're led to believe.
It felt like it went from...
She's trying to figure out what he needs. He's probably been trained to figure out how to use her. And then you're like, are they doing that? But then it's kind of cold and there's no I get what you're saying. But it was serviceable as well.
But that's not Jennifer Lawrence's fault. It's like script and, scenes that she's in. But I do like her, and I've not seen Winter's Bone, which I should, because apparently that's like great.
Well, not necessarily to you, but
what I've seen her in, my favourite one was American Hustle, I think.
Yeah.
I really liked her in that. And the worst one I've ever seen her in was that Passengers movie, where she's in space with Jurassic Park guy.
Oh, yeah.
That was not good, that one.
You call him Jurassic Park, but he's Galaxy guy.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah, Passengers
he's the guardian of the galaxy.
That one was a big disappointment to me. It's just...
It was really weird.
Yeah.
Listen to that podcast if you don't know what we're talking about.
I don't think we reviewed that one. We just watched it.
It's not weird. Oh, did we not?
No. We just watched it, unfortunately.
No, it wasn't like... it was just confusing. It didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it made sense in terms of the story. It was very straightforward, but a lot of loopholes there with the science, which, if you don't care, that's fine. But
I said the very end scene of Passengers, there might be spoilers here. The very end scene, there's a tree growing up through the auditorium thing, and I said to you, that scene would be better if those two were hanging from that tree. Oh my
God.
Do you remember?
No, but that's terrible. Oh, he means that they're so lonely and desolately lost in space that they would commit suicide.
Yeah, I would have had that ending. But there again, I like a more dark theme.
That's terrible.
So Joel Edgerton plays Nate Nash. I love Joel Edgerton. I think he's an excellent actor. And I really liked him in this, I have to say. He's an Australian actor. He's doing a hokey Russian accent. It's really terrible in parts. But then he's an American sometimes. And that's
he is an American.
Yeah,
he's faking the Russian.
He's faking the Russian, but also faking the American because he's an Australian, right?
That is true.
So that American that he fakes is also a bit...
No, his American is fine. You're not an American, so you can't judge. I'm telling you it was fine.
Yeah, well, for me, it was... Yeah, I really like Joel Edgerton.
You can't judge. That's like me saying someone has a bad British accent.
True.
You would be like, no, it's fine. No, it's a fine British accent.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You can tell me Scottish, that's bad.
Possibly. So yeah, I like Joel Edgerton in this. I like him in things. I like him
in things.
I'm trying to think what I like him in. And then I'm like, he's been in so many things, but I can't actually say.
I was going to say he was the newborn, but he wasn't. That was Hawkeye guy.
Yeah, that was Hawkeye. It would have been better if it was Joel Edgerton, I think.
He's a little more intense. So I don't know. The Town, that guy was pretty intense in that.
Yeah. So I put down Charlotte Rampling, who plays the matron. Did you like her?
I think she did a good job of what she needed to do.
She did. She was awful in Dexter.
Oh, was that her?
She was Dexter's mother, remember?
Ooh. Dexter was horrible.
She was all... Yeah, Charlotte
The end
Rampling.
of Dexter ruined the entire show, and if anyone argues different, they're wrong. Period.
The last season ruined the entire show?
Ruined it.
I would say Charlotte Rampling here, going back to her, though. You know that scene where she's talking
Let's
about...
blame
like,
her.
You know the scene where she's teaching them? Mm-hmm. And she's... Some of the stuff that's coming out of her mouth, I was like, oh my God. This is hardcore.
It is, but she did well.
Yeah, so I actually liked her. I thought she was good. And then I also put down Jeremy Irons as General Korchno.
I mean, he kind of falls in the category of Ed Harris for me these days. Well, Ed Harris is great in Westworld right now. Or previously, whatever.
Whatever timeline we're on.
Yeah. Jeremy Irons is one of those that in this particular role, he does a pretty intense little speech there near the end, but... Other than that, he's just doing the it could have been a cartoon character as a Russian, general, whatever the hell he is. It's a bit caricature-esque.
With his sunglasses on indoors.
Yeah, and the smoking of the cigarette with his jaw hooking out, like his lips all pierced up, like it was like a spinning of the mustache.
Don't get me wrong, though. I like Jeremy Irons.
Sure.
He's a good actor. But yeah, he does a lot of just these... Yeah, it's almost like a James Bond character, something that's a bit over the top a little bit. And exactly like insulting almost. That's what it's like, but I guess that's what they were going for. It's directed by Francis Lawrence. You'll know him from directing Hunger Games. And he also directed a movie called I Am Legend with Mr. Will Smith. Did you like that one?
I don't remember totally disliking it, but it also didn't do much for me.
Here's my opinion on I Am Legend. It
had a lot of potential.
This is my opinion of it. I saw the trailer and I thought, oh my God, what an awesome concept. America is, messed up and there's just this one guy left. Like the last man on Earth.
Sure.
And I was like, that's
but
awesome.
But not funny.
No, but horrific. And then I was like, that's awesome. And then when I watched it, it kind of delivered that for about the first 20 minutes. And then when he meets... Then it just started to fall apart for me. Like, it wasn't as good as, it started. But, and then it had a really bad ending. Do you remember? It was, not a good ending at all. And I think they actually did a version with a better ending, like on the Blu-ray or something. Because people complained about the ending. But anyway, I Am Legend. It's a big movie. It was a big blockbuster movie for that summer. So what do you think of Francis Lawrence?
The director?
Yeah.
It was fine. It was... non-invasive.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a compliment, but to me, it's a good thing.
I feel like he's really grown. I think this might be the best thing I've seen from him. It's well shot. I know that might not be 100% down to him. Might just be his director of photography. But it's a well plotted out movie. It's interesting. The whole time, I thought.
Yeah.
It's a good script. The whole thing is pretty good. The only thing is those insulting things, like I say, but you just have to get over that because that's how Hollywood movies operate, don't they? No Hollywood movie is going to have every actor speaking in Russian with subtitles the entire time, are they? They're just not going to do it.
True.
So you just have to...
Every Russian movie would, and then you could just put subtitles on it for everybody else.
True. So extras, there are a bunch, 90 minutes of extras actually on there. You get to see Jennifer Lawrence do some ballet dancing. You get to see them doing the stunts. There's a bit about there was a book. This was a book originally. How they converted it into a movie. Decent extras, well produced, not those cheesy ones, I would say. So
agree.
So what's your overall on Red Sparrow?
I enjoyed it.
Would you recommend it to everyone or not?
Those are my only two choices? I would not recommend it to everyone on the whole planet or everyone I know. No. very handful of people, just like every movie, most every movie, of people that I know who would sit down and enjoy this. You have a friend who turned it off after 20 minutes because he was bored.
He actually turned it off after 1 hour, he told me.
Okay. Still, you've invested an hour.
And his
hang in there.
Comment was, most boring movie ever made.
Really? You know what? I could challenge him on that. I know movies that he would be like, I concede that one was not the most boring.
Do you know that
movie.
French movie called Blue? Where it's just a blue screen for 3 hours.
There's also the one driving for hours. It goes and then to make it to blowjob at the end. He wouldn't hang in there for that one either. It's literally just that.
That was the brown bunny.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
He'd be fast forwarding.
That was Chloe Sevigny who gives the blowjob.
It was.
And it wasn't real, actually. It was just a prosthetic.
Right. Well, it's a movie.
So, I would definitely recommend this movie. It's kind of right up my alley. I like Bond movies. I like Bourne movies. I like anything with some kind of like espionage or trying to like pretend to be another thing or, I like that kind of stuff.
This is very telling about you.
This gives a good feel of like globetrotting a little bit as well. It goes to different cities.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
You go to London for 5 seconds, Budapest, which could be anywhere because to me, I don't know enough about these places, but I'm convinced they're going there. I don't know that for a fact. And they probably didn't.
No. But yeah, it moves around a little bit. I mean, one city looks like another city sometimes. Mm-hmm. Those first two places, they went from one place to the next place. They could be the same place, really, as far as the way it looked. But you do get a feeling of moving around. You do get a feeling of visceral... The torture scene. There is a torture scene in this movie. So if you don't like that kind of thing... I was wincing at that scene.
Do any of us like that kind of thing? Well, probably somebody does. But no, we don't like to see it. But it's important to this.
And it's very wincy. It was making me go, oh, that is really bad. So, yeah.
How about the skin shaving off?
Yeah, somebody said that this isn't... Somebody said on the IMDb reviews I was looking at was they took a 14-year-old daughter to see this at the cinema and because she loves Jennifer Lawrence in The Hunger Games. And like an hour and 15 minutes, they just had to leave because it was too much.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, don't
do
take
your research,
kids.
Mom and Dad.
Yeah, this is not Hunger Games. It's not the sequel. It's not the... it's a different thing, and it is very adult, and it is very...
It really took them that long, because if I was my 14-year-old kid, it would have been about, 30 minutes in. Yeah.
So, I would recommend this highly. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was boring, and I thought it was, I loved Atomic Blonde. It wasn't that long ago, was it? Mm-mm. And this is... not like that, but it's that kind of vibe. It's just a different
it's a woman who's a spy.
Yeah, different take on it, though. She's she's no less kick-ass, actually. She's just as hardcore. You just don't see it.
No, I don't know about that. I'd have to disagree, but...
So, I would recommend that. It's from our friends at Fox. You can pick it up now. Next week, we're going to be reviewing a horror movie, and it'll be The Strangers... Prey by Night, which is the sequel to The Strangers, which was a movie from about 10 years ago with Liv Tyler that I really enjoyed. And that end scene really sticks in my mind. I can't even forget it. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That scene made the movie for me. I was like, holy shit, this is fucked up. So, yeah, we're going to see the sequel. So stay tuned, and next week you will bring that to you. So movie recommendations based on this movie. I'm going with... Daniel Craig's first Bond film, Casino Royale. Mm-hmm. It contains a bit of a torture scene, and he's very undercover in that one. And it kind of reminded me a bit of it.
Not in that scene, he wasn't.
No, he was not. But it reminded me... There was moments in this movie where I was thinking of Bond, so that's a good thing, because I love Bond. And obviously Atomic Blonde, which I also really loved. I love Atomic Blonde. It's got awesome music. She's really kick-ass in it. I would watch it again.
Yeah, but do you like her better than Kick-Ass? The movie Kick-Ass, I mean.
It's a totally different thing.
It is.
Yes.
And I'm going to recommend Atomic Blonde, because that came to mind. So we've discussed that one. And because this week I heard a story that in America, the birth rate has dropped consistently for however many years and a certain percentage, and trying to figure out all the statistics as to why. And what movie did I say it reminded me of?
Children of Men.
Correct. Because in that, the population slowly started going down. Women stopped getting pregnant. Eventually, we get to our slice of the story where no one has had a child in like 20 years. Something's happened on the whole planet to the human race where no one is. And it was creepy. Like, it showed abandoned schools and like this 20-year-long party of like the end of the human world. Basically, things have really fallen to shit. And I don't know if it's as good as I remember, but I remember really being like, whoa.
It's very good. And what happened to Clive Owen? Where did he go?
Well, he was in Bourne movie. He was that other agent, and he killed him. So there you go.
Yeah, but that's it.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I'll tell you what else he was in. He was in Valerian.
True.
Ugh.
Valerian.
Valerian? Oh, Valerian. Poor Valerian.
Enough for that one.
Yeah, so that's our recommendations for this week. I've been playing a new game this week called State of Decay 2. It's from Microsoft Studios, and it is a zombie survival game. There's not much story to it, to be honest. It's zombies have taken over, and you start off with you and another person who's controlled by the computer. You control one of them, and you've got to find your way to you get a mission at the beginning. You got to go and find these people. You find these people, you set up a base, and then the whole game is like you providing supplies to the base to expand the base to be more comfortable in the base, and the zombies harder for them to get to you.
And the base. It's all about the base. It's all about the base.
So, and then eventually you move from, like I've moved twice now. You get opportunities when you come across places where you can actually go and hole up at. The first place was just this house on a hill, and we lived there for a little while. But it's very small, and you could only build a few different places in it. And then I found a distillery, which we actually moved to. And in the distillery, I didn't like being in the distillery. It was very, zombies were just jumping over the wall all the time. It wasn't very, safe. So, but the advantage of being in the distillery was you can actually make whiskey in the stills and then sell the whiskey to other people, get a load of money for it. Not money, but because money would be no use in a apocalypse, right?
True. Somebody will design a new kind of money. Probably.
Yeah, well, there's no money in this world. It's more like you get influence, you give stuff to other groups, and then other groups like you more, and then they're more likely to do a favor for you. Now, what's cool about this game, it has lots of systems involved, and we had I had a little community, got like 5 people, and one's a farmer, and they're all different people. And if you don't keep their needs satisfied, which is like The Sims, like they've got little bars, and one of the people in the group, it was a dude, he was like, he kept getting into arguments with everybody in the group, and I kept getting this message flashing up saying he's fighting with other people. And he doesn't think the way this is being run is fine. So I was kind of ignoring it because I was doing other stuff. I came back one night, and one of the other people had said that some ammo has been stolen. So I went and had a look, and not only had the ammo been stolen, this guy had loaded up our best truck with ammo and left. So I haven't seen him again. If I see him, he's pretty much done for.
You need to consult with Rick Grimes.
Yeah.
Figure out those bad plans that seem to keep him alive.
So I like how things like that can happen, just random things that you don't expect. Like, there's also, when people contract the zombie virus, which they can, so say you're fighting with the zombies and you get too much of the blood on you, you actually get this little bar that's like, okay, now you've got like 2 or 3 days, and if you don't deal with this, you're going to be a zombie. It's called the blood plague. Now, at that point, you as the leader, you get the option to euthanize that person. You get the option to try and cure them by like going and researching a cure, and like, which you can do. But there are moments where you have to face weird decisions. Like, we had 5 people, we're really running low on food. You can actually say to people, listen, we don't think you pull weight enough here, so can you just leave? And then you have this little scene where they just leave. Now, you don't know what's going on with those people then. Like, they leave, and they might have it in for you, and then the night after, they might all be back with a big gang, So there's a lot of things in the game where you're like, wow, I didn't think...
So essentially, you have to choose, do I kill them to benefit the group, or do I let them live and take the risk?
Right. And it might even be a person who's not even got the zombie virus or anything. They're just a person who's being a pain in the ass. There is an option to kill them. Now, how will the rest of the group look upon you having executed a person? It's like Negan, right? Mm-hmm. He will he will kill a guy to prove a point to everybody. Look, you don't do this. Or I'll burn this guy's face. Don't mess with me, kind of thing. So you get all these decisions, and you're kind of like, am I the kind of person who would actually kill a person because we've not got enough food? No, I don't think so. But it makes life so much easier here. So it's full of these moral decisions. I really like that. The zombie fighting itself is really cool. Like you've got a melee weapon, which could be anything from like a tire iron to like a machete, and you've also got a gun. And things can get out of hand very fast. You might think, oh well, I can just go out and snipe a few of these zombies. Sometimes a big plague of zombies, and I'm talking like 20 or 30 of them come at you at once. If you're not prepared for that, it can end very easily. And when a person dies in this game, they're dead. Like, there is no, reload the save. No, it auto saves all the time. Like, so there's no rolling back. If something happens to your favorite person in the game, that's it. They're dead. So you have to live with that. I've lost 2 or 3 people now, and they were my best people. And it's really sad when it happens. You're like, oh no, that was my person who I've leveled all the way up, and now they're gone. So it's State of Decay 2. It's really, really cool. It's from Microsoft. It's on PC and Xbox. It's an exclusive. I recommend it. And the other game I got this week is Detroit Become Human, which is David Cage's new game, the guy who made Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. Would you say we're a fan of that guy?
You and I?
Yeah.
I don't know. Beyond Two Souls, give or take. Heavy Rain, I didn't watch you play.
He kind of invented that genre of game. Telltale kind of ran with it.
So you're answering your own question, which is yes, you're a fan.
I'm saying personally, Beyond Two Souls, I can take it or leave it. I thought it was a really good technical achievement on a PS3. Having Ellen Page in your game and actually not thinking, oh, look, it's video game Ellen Page. Actually, the performance was all there, right? Mm. You could see her emotions. Really good voice acting, But that story kind of fell apart. It got a bit too sci-fi for me. It got a bit weird.
Yeah.
He didn't have any, restraint. He just went really crazy with it at the end, and it was too much. So I didn't dig that much. But this new one, Detroit Become Human, if you've ever seen the TV show Humans that we mentioned last week, it's kind of like that premise, but in America. We haven't played it yet. I'm going to play an hour of it tonight.
Nice. Just an hour?
Yeah, I think we'll play an hour every so often. And
hour's not enough. I'm excessive. You play it all the way through, or don't even start.
Well, not all the way through. It's about 15 hours long, I believe. But
don't even start it.
We'll do a chapter, and I'll discuss it with you. We'll probably have done quite a bit of it by the time we get back next week. But yeah, Detroit Become Human, it's out now. It's David Cage's new game. He only makes a game every 5 years because those games take a long time to make, I think. So, Detroit Become Human. So what is for dinner?
Jimmy John's with hummus. Because you've discovered that you're in love with the, what's it called? Hope brand of hummus, and it is the Thai curry flavor. It's really good.
Thai coconut curry.
Thai coconut curry. So we're going to have that. I'll get some French fries to go with it. I'm going to go totally lazy out on this one.
And what is your advice?
Don't fake it now. That's very broad. And some people would say faking it, lying. I lie all the time. I fake it all the time because, you have to do that in society. Well, some things that I'm thinking of are like yesterday I went to have lunch with my niece and then went over to her house, which I had never seen. And she has 2 big dogs and a cat in her house. I am not an animal fan. ironically, you and I are vegetarians. We don't eat the animals anymore, but I don't care about animals. I don't cozy up to them. I don't ooh and all over them. I couldn't give a shit how soft the cat's fur is or how cute it is or cat pictures. None of that. I understand. I mean, I see that these animals have personality of their own. You know, they respond different ways, different things. So I just see them as, I don't know, a kind of creature that I'm not particularly interested in, like, cozying up to. I don't know what else it is, but I don't walk in the door. And when my niece, who's in love with her animals, of course, and they think of them as their children, they have no children, and that's just how they are. I don't go like, oh, come here. Oh, you're so cute. I put my hand out, and then the one dog is like, you know, licking my leg and licking my shoe. And I'm just like, just let me lay it down here for you, dog. This ain't not an animal person, just so you know. And the dog like stared up at me, you know, like, oh, what? Why are you talking to me like that? Why aren't you going oohing and awing about how cute I am and petting me? And I'm just like, nope, that is not me. So I'm not going to fake it so that my niece is in that moment. Like, I don't sit there and say, like, get the dog off me, because I don't really care if the dog licks my foot or my leg or jumps on me. That doesn't bother me at all. I mean, if it's a big, huge dog and it's covered with snot and spit, maybe I'd be like, oh my God, gross. But I would do that if it was somebody's snotty-nosed child. You know what I mean? If somebody's boogery child came up and started rubbing against me or getting on my lap or whatever, I'd be like, can we have a tissue, please? That's exactly how I would react. But the dog was fine. It doesn't bother me at all. The cat crawling around on me doesn't bother me. I just am not going to respond in a fake way to make my niece whatever. I mean, she knows I'm not uncomfortable in her house because of her animals. I don't act uncomfortable that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm not. I can imagine my sister, who's the other aunt, one of the other aunts, would be like, oh, she loves dogs and cats. So to her, faking it would be to walk in and not grab the dog and hug it and kiss it and lick it and let it lick her face and lick her nose and go, oh my God, you're so cute, you're so cute, oh my God, do it like that. You know, if she had to just sit and be like me, and if I said, just don't react to the animals, that would be her faking it, which wouldn't be fair either. You know?
Right.
So in those, that's what I'm talking about. Don't fake it in a situation just to fit in or to make people think something about you that isn't true. Now, in every circumstance of all of human interaction, I cannot make this spread out. You know, don't fake it doesn't apply to everything. But in those kinds of little things, it's better for people to know who you are and maybe think like, oh, she doesn't like my animals. But I make it very clear. I even said to the animal, just so you know, if you want to ask any questions, I don't eat animals anymore. I just don't. So, you know, maybe I get a point for that. You know, I kind of talk to the dog like it's a person. So, yeah, don't fake it.
All right. So, go to ascully.com and sidtalk.com. There are websites. You can look at them. You can also go to Twitter and Facebook. You can look at those too. You can look at them.
You can just look at it.
Just look at them. And then look at them some more. You can also catch this podcast. You can listen to it, not look at it, just listen to it. On Google Play Store, the iTunes Music Store. You can get it on your Amazon device by saying your trigger word. We like to say, if we don't want to say a name, we say a word.
It's the A word.
So we'd say a word.
She's very clever. She'll probably cotton on to that someday.
Maybe eventually we
She'll be like, I know you're talking about me.
Or maybe one day when they let you have any name, I'll switch it. I'll set it in the app to a word, and then you'll be saying it and be like, what? So yeah, you can say the A word, and you can say, listen to the After the Show movie podcast on TuneIn, and it will play you the latest episode. You can also catch the podcast on YouTube and email feedback to me at ascully@ascully.com. Don't email any feedback to Sid Talk. And secondly...
Unless you're a photographer and you have advice.
Not secondly. Lastly, I would say, stay classy. Both Lawrences in this movie, Jennifer Lawrence and Francis Lawrence. I would like to see them make another movie together because they do well.
And I'm going to say think for yourself or someone will do it for you.